Okay. Peggy, have you used a microbit before?
Nope, I have not.
Marissa, hi Marissa. Marissa, have you used a microbit?
Yes, I have. Actually, is exactly a year ago because we did a Valentine's Day activity.
Oh, that's right. You used it with me. Duh. Chris, have you used a microbit before?
I have, just briefly.
Okay. Marissa, I put a link to a slide deck in the chat. If it's not there, let me know. I can throw it in. No? Okay.
Oh, it's not. Sorry about that.
It's no big deal. Okay. We're going to breeze through this. I'm going to try to be as responsive as possible. So Microbit, you can see here on Edna mode, is a physical computing device. And it's a powerful little computer that you can program. They're one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things about them is kids can explore and create their own projects, and the price point is like $15. So really low floor, high ceiling, and really inexpensive for schools to get to them. So I'm not going to share my screen right away. You guys let me know if you need help. What we're going to do, hopefully really quickly, is talk briefly about what the microbit is. I'm going to show you some examples and then get you into the editor and let you kind of explore some of the resources that are there. So Microbit Foundation's mission is to inspire kids to create their own best digital future. And they have some really nice challenges for kids too that kind of help them with authentic problem solving. You'll see those in just a minute, so it's worth checking out. And I'm gonna not hold this stuffed animal the whole time and share my screen for just a minute. So the Microbit is a microcontroller. Things worth noting are you have 25 LEDs that are programmable. There's 2 input buttons, an A and a B button. You can also hit both buttons simultaneously to have something happen. There's a USB connector for kids to download their programs right onto it, but they can also,
You need to go.
Oh,
and then, sorry.
It's okay. They can also use Bluetooth to communicate between microbits or to download code. And that also gives kids a chance to learn and understand what Bluetooth is. There's a reset button. There's a compass. There's an accelerometer so they can shake or they can throw it and they can collect some data. So integrations are pretty endless. It's just a really powerful tool. And then across the very bottom are 25 edge protectors, which allow you to connect to things like LED lights or a Raspberry Pi or a hummingbird if your district already has hummingbirds. So opens up a ton of opportunities for kids. Some examples are there's a Do Your Bit challenge annually. I think they're in their 3rd or their 4th year. And so that first example, the little girl that won, Unki, she won in the Asian and Pacific region, excuse me. She used the microbit as an ultrasonic distance detector to detect when birds were getting close to a window. And then she connected a strip of LED lights that flashed really bright so that birds wouldn't hit the windows. So that was the project that she submitted and won with. And then Lynn on the right was the Northeast winner from last year. And she used a Raspberry Pi with a microbit to detect loud sounds in the forest. And when it detected a loud sound, it would take a picture and send it directly to Twitter. And her idea was to hopefully prevent illegal forest or deforestation. So take pictures of illegal loggers. So really cool things that kids are able to do with the microbit at a low price point. I don't know if you guys know this or not. In England, every 11-year-old gets a microbit. So there's tons of resources out there and a pretty big community. So you're not adopting a piece of technology that's new or doesn't have any type of support in place. Okay, that's it. That's the microbit. I don't work for them. I don't make money. Okay, so we're going to try it out. So first thing I want to show you is if you have the physical microbit, I programmed this. So I hit A and it's going to tell you with a scroller what her name is. So this is Edna Mode. If you haven't seen Incredibles, she's the best, darling. If I hit B, you can see her heart beating for Valentine's Day. She has a heart. It's just not really, you know. she's not open about it. And then I programmed this to also be a step counter. So every time that she steps, you get a step counter. In theory, my whole desk is shaking now. And then I programmed it so if I hit both buttons, it will reset. And so just kind of those are really introductory projects. I'm going to ask you to do one in just a minute, but you can do it with this physical one. Or I think the really nice part with Microbit is there's an online editor, and we can use Microsoft Classroom to do that. And so some really nice things about that are kids can use MakeCode, which is very similar to Scratch. It's block-based coding, or they can use Python if they're ready for it. So you can kind of scaffold their learning that way. They can collaborate. As a teacher, you can collect the assignments, but kids don't need a logon or a password. And so you're not having to worry about the AUP and all of the registration information. These are kind of like moments in time where you can code with the kids and then be done, but you can actually see what they're doing. So we're going to do that together as soon as I move this out of my way so I can get to my tabs. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go to microbit.org just to kind of show you what this looks like. So I come to Microbit, and if you click getting started, one of the things that you're able to do, that is not how I found it, is you're able to go to the classroom. Nope, I went like this. Sorry. Classroom.microbit. There we go. We're going to the classroom. Sorry. And yes, we're going to restart a new activity. So what I'm able to do in the classroom is I am able to set up an editor for you guys to actually code in. So if I come to this editor, I can actually give you all this code to start with and then ask you to create a project. So what I want you to do, just like with Edna Mode, when I hit A, is I want you to make a virtual scrolling name badge for yourself. So the way that you're going to do that, oh, come on now. Okay, the way that you're going to do that is that Corey's going to go through a bunch of slides. You're going to try this. You're going to go to makecode.org/join in a new tab, and we're going to cross our fingers that it works. Your code is purple dog fire engine saxophone. Is it not working? And then you have a pin.
I'm on, when I do the makecode.org/ or it's microbit.org. Okay, maybe I'm not.
Oh, did I say, I said make code. I'm sorry. Microbit.org/join. I'm sorry, Chris.
That's okay. And then you want us to enter the PIN?
Is it asking you for class name?
Yes.
Class name's Purple Dog Fire Engine Saxophone. And then your PIN is 531922. Peggy or Marissa, can you let me know if it worked? Oops, I haven't been looking at the chat. Sorry, ladies.
Can you give me the pin again?
Yep, 531922.
Okay. Something's incorrect for me. That doesn't mean anything, Corey.
No, it does. It means things are incorrect for Corey.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
531922.
I got to get back to the right tab. 531922.
Indigo dog fire engine saxophone.
Purple.
Oh, you can scroll.
I love that it's not just me.
What's the closest color to purple? Indigo?
I love it. So purple dog, fire engine, saxophone. That's awesome. Oh, good. You're all in there. Marissa, you look so cozy.
I got my vaccine shot today, and my arm is really sore, so I'm icing it, but it does not come off very well in the picture.
You're fine. I'm glad you got a vaccine. That's great. Okay, I just shared my screen again. What I wanted to show you, so thank goodness, thanks for being patient with me. It's been a long day, friends. So what you can see on the teacher side across the top, these instructions were what I showed you first. The editor was where I decided what code I wanted you all to get ahead of time. And now as the dashboard, what I'm able to see as the teacher is you're in there and I can see if you're in progress. If I click on Chris's and my internet keeps up, I can see what Chris is working on. And so as a teacher, it gives you a sense of where kids are at and how it's going. So Chris has moved the LEDs over. Let me click on Marissa's. Marissa's still got that typical setup. Nope. So I'll let you guys do a little bit of work. So go ahead and see if you can get your name badge to scroll. And I'll stop sharing. Sorry.
So you said this is name badge, but it says show stream hello. So we're not doing hello, we're doing our name instead.
Yep. So you're going to make a name badge that would say, tell people your name. And if you want to, you can also look at some of those blocks on the left-hand side. If you wanted to, there's emojis. You don't have to create your own LEDs. It looks like Peggy figured out that she can right click and duplicate. Okay, now what you should be able to do is on the left-hand side, you can see that microbit. So what you should be able to do when you go mouse over that is see what your name badge looks like. So give that a try if you haven't already. And if you need help, let me know.
Well, I need all sorts of help.
So Peggy, you're going to move yours over into that forever block so that the microbit knows to do something.
I'm all of this.
Yep. But if you click that very top block that says show the string Peggy and then move
Yeah.
it into there, it should move all of it into that block for you.
Okay.
And
Oh,
now do you see it?
I do.
Is it doing what you expected it to do?
Not exactly. Oh, I know why. Never mind.
What?
Okay, go.
Mm.
Chris,
Where did you find the emojis?
if you look, I was trying to open up a window. It's in the blue section. I can't remember what that word says off the top of my head. There is the block that says show LEDs, but there's another one that has a heart already pre-populated. And if you click the little arrow, it'll show you a bunch of different pre-made
Yeah.
little emojis.
I was looking for like the word emoji, but yes, I see. That's how I got my heart to show up a year ago.
Yes, yeah. So it gives you kind of those pre-made templates there. Were you all able to get it to work? Or at least close enough?
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's what I want to show you, just since we're a small group, is as instructor, I'm able to see what you were working on and I can prompt you, or like with Peggy's, let me go over here to Peggy's. All of Peggy's blocks, it does take it a minute to upload. All of Peggy's blocks were sitting over here. And so I knew it wasn't working because she didn't have it connected to the forever block. And so it allows you as an instructor to pretty quickly be able to troubleshoot and help them, kind of prompt them without needing them to share their screen and have other kids see it. So it's pretty great. The other thing that you can do too in here, which I think is a game changer as a former computer science teacher, is let's say that Peggy was really struggling and instead of me helping her, I want her to do a little bit of peer review and support. I can share a student code with other students. And so you're able to then have them be collaboratively looking and working with each other. And so I think that's a pretty nice feature of this as well in this classroom setup. We're not going to do that right now. So here's what I want to show you is when I go to the Microbit page, there's three tabs I would highly recommend that you spend a little bit of time in. Getting started kind of helps you with the setup. That is specific to having a physical microbit. So if you really wanted to be able to get it so that the physical microbit is doing this or on the shake, I get the step count. That's a lot of what that is. I will say the hardest part, I think, with kids when you have face-to-face instruction is they plug in a micro USB to download their code to their microbit. And every time they change their code, they have to download the code again. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can have them set up Bluetooth and then they can do it that way. But every time they iterate, they need to re-download it to the physical device. And they kind of struggle with that. It's why that emulator you saw, I think, is so important, is that I would really encourage kids, look at the emulator. Is it doing what you want it to do? Practice it before you download it as a way to getting them to think about iterating and debugging anyway. But it kind of minimizes that frustration level for them. But that's what this one's going to do. What I wanted to give you guys just a few minutes to look through, though, are the projects are where there are some beginner, intermediate, and advanced projects that teachers can share with kids. So if I click down here where it says make it, code it, explore the activities.
You're
Not sharing your screen.
yeah.
Don't worry. I'm just glad that I'm not the only one because some people are. I have no worries at all.
Are you seeing my screen now?
I am.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Somebody's a tech consultant. Just tell her she's fired. Thanks for telling me, you guys. Okay, how about I try this again? Getting started is where you'll see the
What it
physical.
looks like. Can you show us what it looks like where you saw all three of ours?
Yeah, I'll show you that one more time so you can see what it looks like. There's a couple different ways to get there, but yes, I will.
Okay.
So this is when I go to microbit.org. Getting started, this tab across the top is the one I just rattled on about. If you click on projects and then we choose explore the activities, this is where you can see the beginning of projects. And I think what's really exciting is you can filter. So if you know your kids are going to be using make code, which is what you just used, I can filter that way. I can filter by topic. So if I know that I'm really working on computing systems or I'm really working on a network, I can filter that way. And then the other really exciting part, I think, especially if it's more project-based learning, is kids can search, or you can search by the feature. So if kids come to you and they say, I really want to do something with the buttons, then they can filter just for tutorials around the buttons, and they're not having to wait for you. So I think these lend themselves really nicely to playlists for kids. But then I will show you again, Marissa, but let's say I want to do the emotion badge. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to look. There's an introduction and a coding guide as a resource. Then there's some actual code to see how you might actually get started so you can scaffold kids up. But then what you guys just did is what's called Microbit Classroom. So instead of going to classroom.microbit.org, which is what I did the first time, if you click open in Classroom, yeah, that's fine. Then what you can do is I'm going to use the project, that emotion badge, the one I was just looking at. I can name it, so I could rename it if I want to. I'm going to have you do it in make code because I don't know if any of you, I know Marissa knows Python because she took a class she loved in Python. And then
Yeah,
I know. And then we're going to click I want to use temporary local storage so to remember this activity. And then I'm going to launch the classroom. That's what you guys just experienced. And so what it allows me to do is then share out to kids those specific projects that I want them to complete. And so I think that's a really nice feature. The other one that is on here, wrong tab, Corey. Let me go back to Microbit. The other one that's on here are lessons. And these, they're called lessons, but I like to think of them more like units. And there are 18 different units here. So if I choose make code and I want to work on data handling, what it provides for teachers is 5 different lessons. 3 of them use the microbit, the other 2 don't. And so it provides teachers with not just some of those projects that might be one lesson, but gives you kind of a scope and a sequence around a concept. So we have 5 minutes left, of course. Let me stop this share. What I was going to ask you to do was spend some time in the projects and the lessons, kind of looking for examples. But I'm curious what questions you might have or what you're thinking, since it's just 3 of us, or 4 of us, but 3 of you.
What's the lowest grade level you've seen these in?
I've seen them in 3rd.
Okay.
The kids really, I think, need to be confident readers to
Okay.
use those blocks. I'm curious what Marissa thinks because I know Marissa's got early childhood experience, but that's what I would say, Peggy.
When I did it with 3rd grade, luckily it was only like 12 kids, and then only half of them did this and half of them did Cubeto. So I was able to, but I don't know. So in a small group, the 3rd graders did well.
I would think if I were in a classroom, I would think sweet spot for these is introductory would be like 4th and 5th and having them use make code. And then I used to teach middle school computer science, so I would love to do them with make code in 6th grade, get them really used to it and comfortable with the microbit, and then 7th and 8th, transition them over to Python, to text-based coding, because then they've learned how the microbit works with the blocks, and then I can help them to make connections between, okay, now we're in the syntax-based language, but you're familiar already with what the accelerometer is, what the compass is, how the Bluetooth works. And so then you can kind of scaffold their cognitive load and get them into some text-based programming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Chris, how have you used these before? Have you used them with your kids or have you just used it?
I have used them, and then I've also used it or tried to use it with an adapter for the hummingbirds. Otherwise, I'm still at a point where I'm trying to decide who I can introduce this to. And I have high school students who have had no programming at all. So I would feel, I think, comfortable having them use this to get started. I feel like it's a way to use scratch coding, block-based, like scratch coding, but using it with the board.
Yeah. I think sometimes what I hear and what I experience with my especially my 8th graders, is they feel like Scratch is really babyish, which I
Right.
think is unfortunate because it's so powerful. But I think the interface sometimes feels a little juvenile, where I don't know what the difference is, but Make Code just doesn't feel that way, I don't think.
I
And
would say though, I introduced it to some 6th graders, and they who had never had any, like they were obviously a mix. So I think only one of the elementary buildings had done some, and they struggled. It was one of those things that like they really had to start with those very basic. And I think Corey had even shared like the very much the step-by-step, like how to make a heart. Like I literally did the exact same lesson with the 3rd graders that I did with the 6th graders, because I had to get them to have some sense of confidence, some confidence before I did it. So it was really, it's just interesting because you say, you know, like when you say 3 to 12th grade, like I would definitely say 3 to 12th grade. And I mean, I wouldn't even change a lot of the lessons for them.
well, and I think especially because in Iowa, we're scaffolding experience for the teachers and the learners. So I think we're going to get to a point where we've had, you know, upper elementary and middle school kids who've had more experience coding. So this doesn't fit as well. Before we're done really quick, what I do want to mention is there is a STEM scale up where you get a classroom set of microbits. And CodeJoy is, they also work with Hummingbird. They're phenomenal trainers. They have an awesome studio. So it's something worth, you know, exploring, especially if you want to get a set of classroom microbits and get some professional development around them. And then the other thing that's in the slide deck, which you're welcome to use or hold on to, is Katie Henry, who works at Microbit, shared this with chapter. Oh no, we're out of time. Oops, shoot.
Thank you so much, Corey.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are handles. I was thinking it was going to kick us out. So these are some handles of people, I mean, other than me and Katie, but Stu Lowe and this Florentine and Kelsey Connects do awesome stuff with Microbit. So if you just want to like follow people that are using them and doing cool things with them, those are accounts I really like to follow. And then the hashtag is Microbit, and there's tons of stuff. There's stuff in different languages. It's amazing. So, and then the other thing, and then I promise I'm done. Microbit doesn't sell the devices. So Microbit Education Foundation truly is about helping educators to use them in classrooms. But what I linked there is their site shows you different vendors. And if you're curious, welcome back, everybody. How did it go? Are y'all just going to stare at me listening to my husband put dishes away? That's good. That's fun. Would somebody from each group like to share a highlight with the larger group?
I was really impressed with the slide on the statistics of numbers graduating and job openings.
Mary, can you give the rest of us some context? Which room were you in?
I was in the high school one.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, half an hour was not long enough, Corey. We could have went on and on and on for a lot longer. I feel like I just zipped through a million things in a really short amount of time, but it was great to have our group together. And I have a follow-up question after everybody shares. Don't let me leave without asking.
I was in the elementary Scratch class with Ben and appreciated all the ideas he shared. We were really talking about like how do you go further with Scratch once you have the basics? How can you push kids and yourself to go further? So he shared some really great ideas of ways it can be used and what to look for. I hadn't looked through. He putting it in the chat now. The creative computing curriculum just has some good ideas for kind of different places to jump off of. And so that's a great resource for anyone that uses Scratch and is looking for other ways and strategies to keep learning. So thank you, Ben.
I appreciate Corey for going over the Microbit and getting us into the virtual world. I hadn't done that before, so being able to experience it as a student.
Okay, anybody else have the creative curriculum sitting by their desk? I use it often, Ben. It's my favorite Scratch resource for what it's worth, so highly recommend you can, if you want it printed. I use it all the time.
I thought I was your favorite Scratch resource.
I'm sorry, it's my second favorite Scratch resource. I stand corrected. Thanks, Ben. So here are the choices. I know Mackenzie has a follow-up question. If you would like to go back up into your breakout room and continue conversation and learning, we are happy to open those back up. Otherwise, what we try to do is the last 30 minutes, but too much content today, which is a good problem to have. We can also just kind of do social. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Mary. So how about you type in the chat? Would you like to go back into your breakout room or would you like to have the unstructured conversation?
Tell
Okay.
him to keep it down.
What's one doing?
What's going on? What?
The dishes. I'm just making fun of your husband in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, just teasing him.
Hey, Mackenzie, how about you ask that question so I can mute?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Kyle was asking some questions about like some of the school counselors he works with, and I wanted to just make sure that his group of school counselors were maybe being invited to the Keystone, Iowa presentations I'm doing in March. And I'm not sure who would even have that information, but I think someone here might.
I just put it in the chat. I put my email address in there as well. So we're kind of sponsoring that. And so we do have it from March 10th, happening from 8 till noon. That one might be the best one as far as it being actually during the school day, because we actually wrote a grant and the counselors that will be attending on March 6th will get a stipend. And I'm afraid that might get a little bit harder to to justify why some are getting a stipend and the others aren't. So that March 10th would be available to really anybody. If you want to let me know, and I'll send a Zoom link to register.
Yeah, I would love to see anybody there. It'll be fun.
Gertie, can you share something either to me or just to the AEA group, and that I can share out to our specifics, to our counselors specifically?
Yeah, maybe we'll do that tomorrow during our meeting on Wednesday.